Hey, everybody, this is Alex Merced, head of DevRel at Dremio. I want to do is give you a quick tour of sort of like the Dremio Dataset Explorer. So when you're on the Dremio UI, and if you want to experience this, just head over to dremio.com/get started to do a free trial, free 30-day trial, where you can use this as much as you want. No credit card required, no infrastructure required. You get everything you need for free for 30 days. But basically, once you're on this UI, what you can see here is that generally you're going to start on this home page, okay? And that's just generally where you're going to be able to interact with the built-in AI agent. But if you want to take a look at the data sets that are available to you, you're going to see that here. Now, there's generally two main areas of this environment. There's the built-in catalog. So every Dremio project equals one catalog in the sense of Apache Polaris. Okay, so Apache Polaris is a Lakehouse catalog. Okay, and then basically the way that Dremio wraps around Apache Polaris is that your Dremio organization is essentially one deployment of Apache Polaris. Apache Polaris can have many catalogs, so groups of data sets. And each Dremio project is a catalog within that Polaris deployment or that Polaris realm, for those who are more familiar with how Polaris works. Okay, so point is that this namespaces area, this chunk right here, that is the date. Those are the data sets that are within this particular catalog. Okay, and that's an Iceberg REST catalog, so you can connect it to any tool that supports Iceberg, can connect to this catalog and have access to these data sets, so you get interoperability. Okay, but you can see here I can organize that data set into different namespaces or folders and so forth. Okay, and all that can be governed, and these can be tables, views, so forth. Okay, so again, lots of organization. There's a view. This purple's a table, so purple's a table, green's a view. Okay, so I can see all these data sets in here. Okay, so generally the idea with Dremio is that you may have data from other places, other Iceberg catalogs, other databases, other data warehouses, other data lakes. You would connect those things down here where it says sources. Okay, and then you see there's lots of different places. So if you have other Iceberg catalogs, you can connect them. If you have other data lakes elsewhere, you can connect them. The other databases, data warehouses, data lakes, you can connect all that stuff here. And then they would just show up as different sources, like the samples data set here. Okay, this is like a sample data lake source, and I can go in here and I can take a look at the data sets in there and whatnot. But generally, the way you use Dremio is that you would take all these sources, and then within the built-in catalog, in this case, this namespaces section, this is where you would curate sometimes tables. A lot of times you're curating views on this data. Okay, and basically this becomes your semantic layer. So for example, if I go into the demo environment, my demo folder, you see I've created like two sort of examples for like capital markets. Here's like a retail database, but let's go into the capital markets one. And you see here, I have in the bronze layer, I actually have two tables. Okay, so I have two tables, and those are just the raw tables. And because basically what you can do is that you can take Dremio's catalog and just plug that into your ETL pipelines. So instead of ingesting directly to X, Y, or Z and then connecting that source to Dremio, you could choose to ingest directly into the Dremio's catalog and have those tables as sort of like your raw layer. Okay, and you can see here we have views that we use to create the silver layer where I cleaned up the data, and then I took that data and then enriched the data. I joined the two tables, and then I created like metric specific gold layer views. Okay, and then here you see like there's these views that represent sort of different things I might be trying to look up: compliance metrics, sector risk summary, and so forth. Now the cool thing is those views, so that takes that data and puts into sort of specific metrics and data sets that I might be looking for a particular dashboard or for a particular question on my AI agent. But it goes even further. Dremio's semantic layer captures a lot more information than just, hey, you have a SQL view. Now the AI, this makes the AI agent's life a lot easier because the AI agent is more likely to understand how to answer your question with a data set called compliance metrics versus working off the raw data. Okay, but let's see. Let me just go run a query on that table. Okay, query. Oh, I think I made a typo somewhere. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, put that there. Cool, 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 cool. Let that query run. And there, so we got the data set. Okay. So here is this particular data set. Now, what I can do here is that, again, every data set is going to have more information we can use to give it more semantic meaning. One of it is tags. So you can see over here, there's like labels, and I can manually add labels, or I can use the AI agent to generate those tools for me. So right now it's going to try to understand the data. It didn't come up with any particular tags for this particular data set. Again, if it noticed like PII or something like that, it would tag it. And then I can go to the wiki here and I can generate a wiki, which will help provide some basic documentation of the data set. And again, all this kind of semantics gets brought into the AI agent. So you can see there, it generated like a description. Okay, and it could tell exactly what kind of data set this was, what the different fields are and what they mean, and even provides us like a sample record. Okay, and I can just save that. See, I generate that real quickly. But when I use the AI agent to sort of look at this data, okay, and I think here's like an example of actually me looking at this particular data set where I asked it to give me a summary of like my total exposure by sector. It's able to kind of figure out what you're looking for really quickly because you've modeled your data. You've created like this whole semantic layer and you've created all these views that provide semantic meaning. Okay, so essentially that's what you're seeing here when you take a look at the Dataset Explorer. You have your built-in catalog, this namespaces section. That's the Dremio catalog. And then you have all your other sources that you can connect to Dremio. And you can use that to help curate your semantic layer through views within the Dremio catalog. So hopefully this helps you understand sort of the Dataset Explorer and sort of the power that Dremio brings, and sort of not just allowing you to work with all your data in one place, but be able to create this sort of virtualized layer, the semantic layer, that really makes your data more useful, not just for you to directly work with, but to work with your AI agents.